Apart from being a master thief and expert martial artist, Gambit has the ability to charm you with his Western style and personality. He started off as a thief, but eventually joined the X-Men and has the mutant power to turn the potential energy in objects into kinetic energy, making them explode. So you can often see him tossing playing cards charged with kinetic energy at his enemies. Now, apart from his 616 version, the comics have at least 12 equally thrilling and fascinating Gambit versions, and that's exactly what we're here to witness today. So without further ado, let's get this party started. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. What If number 106, Gambit version. Now this one's from the comic titled What If, starring Gambit, Revenge, Retribution. In Earth 616, after discovering Gambit's role in the mutant massacre, the X-Men were initially betrayed, but eventually forgave him. In this alternate reality, however, the revelation deepened the rift within the X-Men. Archangel, having lost his original wings in the massacre, harbored a deep resentment towards Gambit, and eventually confronted him in a duel to the death, Morlock style. During the intense battle, Gambit stopped defending himself, anticipating that Archangel would recognize the futility of revenge. Marrow, however, disagreed and fatally stabbed Gambit with a bone dagger. With his final breath, Gambit urged the X-Men to forgive Marrow and break the chain of violence. Vampire Gambit, Earth 1298. Gambit, once the leader of the New Orleans Thieves Guild alongside his wife Belladonna, met this transformed vampire named Bloodstorm during a trip. He teamed up with her and was mortally wounded in an encounter. But here's where it gets really interesting. At his request, Bloodstorm turned him into a vampire. Later, while heading to Mr. Sinister's headquarters, Gambit and Bloodstorm rescued 2 clone children. One of them, a girl named Raven, was adopted by Gambit, who then returned to New Orleans to live with Belladonna and his new daughter. But Gambit's life was never really a bed of roses, and the family's peace was short-lived as Julian, Gambit's treacherous brother-in-law, invaded the guild, which ended in Belladonna's death. Interestingly, in the original timeline, Gambit kills Belladonna's brother and gets outcasted. Following this, Gambit joined Havoc's team, the Six. As danger escalates, Gambit sent Raven to the safer environment of the moon with Magneto and the X-Men. He continued missions with the Six until Dracula did his thing and attacked. During the chaos, Gambit prioritized his and his daughter's safety, so he fled in a plane and left his team behind amidst the battle. His whereabouts after this escape remain unknown. Gambit Weapon X version. Gambit took over from Sabretooth and led the reality-jumping team Weapon X. His initial mission with the team on Earth 42777 was collaborating with Iron Man. This Iron Man ruled as a fascist monarch, and the two of them joined hands to eliminate all the Inhumans. After achieving success, Gambit moved on to another reality. During his time with Weapon X, Gambit formed a bond with Storm, who reminded him of his wife from his own reality. Interestingly, this wife was also named Storm. After she died on a mission, Hyperion replaced her. The team's next mission under Hyperion's lead was to eliminate the last 10 mutants of this reality. In this reality, Gambit encountered another version of Storm, who was overjoyed to see him, as her own Gambit had died before she could say goodbye to him. Storm followed him to Asteroid M to avoid dying in an impending Earth destruction. However, Hyperion planned to kill her to ensure Weapon X would move on to the next reality. Storm asked Gambit to be the one to end her life, because she did not wish to die at Hyperion's hands. Despite his reluctance due to his long marriage to his reality Storm, he complied with her last wish when she insisted it was meant to be. As Hyperion and Weapon X moved from reality to reality, they, along with subordinates Spider and Ms. Marvel, sought to conquer each world instead of helping, which led to the deaths of many heroes. However, Gambit focused on completing missions to return home. He tried to manipulate Hyperion into speeding up their mission completions, but Hyperion caught on. When they reached Earth 4400, Hyperion turned on Gambit by blasting off his arm in an attempt to take the Talus. Now, this forced Gambit to escape into the Morlock tunnels. The Exiles then arrived and discovered the true mission was to eliminate 6 members from both Weapon X and the Exiles. Despite initial resistance, Hyperion and Ms. Marvel, who had already executed most of the killings, coerced them into combat. Ultimately, Gambit killed Hyperion after Blink weakened him, but Gambit was disintegrated in the resulting blast. It was later revealed that Hyperion resurrected himself and took over the Panopticon, where deceased and dismissed members of Weapon X and the Exiles were encased in a crystal wall. When the Exiles uncovered this place, they found many heroes, including Gambit. Eventually, his body was returned to his home reality for burial. Gambit Earth 6706. Gambit from Earth 6706 is the first son of Susan Storm and Namor. When the Exiles landed in his world, he rescued an unconscious Rogue from Black Panther's blood force. He saved his family from slave traders and aided Rogue in reuniting with the Exiles. After rejoining the Exiles, Gambit and his family faced another attack by Blood Force, which attempted to use a radioactive bomb against them. His sister Valeria Finn and her fiancé Atuma saved them, helping them escape Earth's barrier created by Black Panther and flee to the moon, where the Earth's government under Amara Akia was located. With his family safe, Gambit joined the Exiles, which was the actual purpose of their mission. After several missions with the Exiles, Gambit returned home upon hearing of his father's death in battle against Black Panther's forces. He was then crowned King of Atlantis, and with the help from the Exiles and the Earth government, defeated Black Panther and dismantled her barrier around Earth. After securing his realm, Remy left the Exiles to fulfill his duties as king. Gambit's abilities stem from his unique human Atlantean hybrid physiology. This grants him adaptations perfect for underwater living, such as specialized blood circulation to handle freezing temperatures and enhanced vision for murky waters. His hybrid nature allows him to survive indefinitely on land or underwater. Gambit Misfits version. In the manga version of the X-Men universe called X-Men Misfits, Gambit is a student at Xavier's Academy for the Gifted. He keeps to himself and prefers solitude over socializing with other students. One night, Kitty Pryde stumbled upon him cooking. Without speaking, he shares his meal with her, and she's amazed by how delicious it is. In gratitude, he kisses her hand. Like his Earth 616 counterpart, Gambit's eyes are distinctively black. He's a mysterious and mostly silent character and speaks only once. Although often seen playing with his deck of cards at school, he hasn't been shown using his mutant powers yet. Gambit Earth 1610, Ultimate X-Men. In the Ultimate universe, Gambit starts off as, let's just say street urchin. After Hammerhead orphans a young girl, Gambit takes her in temporarily. Though Hammerhead initially takes her away, Gambit manages to rescue her. During this time, Professor Xavier invites him to join the X-Men. But Gambit declines and eventually leaves the girl with a couple who had earlier offered to help. Later, Gambit is seen working for the Ferris twins and kidnaps Rogue, and he battles Wolverine and the X-Men in the process. Initially, Rogue dislikes him, but her feelings start to change after they accidentally touch each other and she sees his memories. You see, he was a runaway who was heavily abused by his father. Realizing the Ferris twins are villains, Gambit and Rogue escape together, and Rogue decides to leave the X-Men to be with him. Subsequently, Gambit and Rogue commit a bit of bank robbery. During the heist, Juggernaut appears and declares his feelings for Rogue. Oh, you poor girl. Good luck making love to him. Of course, a fierce fight ensues between Gambit and Juggernaut, which leaves Gambit mortally wounded. He dies in Rogue's arms after sharing one last kiss. Zombie Gambit. Gambit's backstory before the zombie outbreak on Earth 2149 isn't detailed, but it's likely similar to his Earth 616 counterpart. He was probably at the Xavier Institute when the attack happened, and managed to reach the SHIELD helicarrier with other X-Men and Magneto. Once there, Nick Fury outlined the severity of the crisis and unified everyone despite their past differences. Gambit was likely part of the team sent to fight the zombies on the surface, a mission that ended unsuccessfully. Later, when Beast and Reed Richards discovered a large food supply in Latveria, Gambit, now zombified, led a massive zombie horde to attack Castle Doomstad. They couldn't breach the castle, and although attacked by the reanimated Deadite Legion, Gambit showed up in New York later, relatively unscathed aside from his zombified state. In New York, during a zombie attack on Silver Surfer, Gambit was shot with the power cosmic before he could reach him. His head was seen being blown off, but it's unclear if it survived. If it did survive, it's possible it was either crushed or destroyed when the power cosmic zombies tested their new abilities. Earth 41001 Gambit. In Earth 41001, from X-Men The End, Gambit is revealed to be Mr. Sinister's son, or clone, created from Sinister's original DNA, before it was altered by Apocalypse. This was part of Sinister's plan to switch bodies to one unaffected by Apocalypse to ultimately defeat him. Gambit's powers include elements from Scott Summers' DNA mixed into his own. If you remember, in the original timeline, Sinister creates a clone of Jean Grey in the form of Madeline Pryor, aka Goblin Queen. However, once Apocalypse learned of Sinister's plan, Gambit was taken and left to be raised by the Thieves Guild. In this storyline, Gambit is married to Rogue, his longtime love, and they have 2 children, Oliver and Rebecca. Oliver leads the team G-Next in a different timeline. Earth 161 Gambit. In another reality where the X-Men's world was constantly changing, with members frequently swapping or losing powers, Gambit turned out to be a dependable fixture soon after joining the team. Known in this reality as Remy Picard rather than LeBeau, it's unclear if it was due to being adopted by someone other than Jean-Luc LeBeau, or if it was just a pseudonym. In this version, Gambit swaps his usual colorful outfit for a more subdued look, donning dark sunglasses, a black suit, a red shirt, and a tie. His preference for rebellious brunette teammates remained, though here he entered into a relationship with Kitty Pryde instead of Rogue. New Sun, Earth 9921. New Sun, the version of Gambit from Earth 9921, was created as part of the government's Alpha 1 project. His parents, chosen for their genetic potential, allowed Alpha 1 to raise him and train him in using powers he hadn't yet developed. When they finally appeared, he mastered them so well that he destroyed the Alpha 1 facility and left. He briefly joined the X-Men, but left after killing that reality's Phoenix. Working alone, he never quite fit in with others. Then Jean-Luc Lebeau introduced him to the legend of the Old Kingdom's restoration. New Sun, known as Le Diable Blanc, was central to this prophecy. They prepared by uncovering a statue of the last king in a Turkish mountain. The restoration ceremony triggered a disaster as it unleashed energy that wiped out all life on Earth except New Sun. Calling himself New Sun now, he attempted to reverse the catastrophe using his powers to manipulate time. To be honest, he only sounds like a nuisance to me. Anyway, he opened the spiral of worlds to access the multiverse. Discovering worlds with versions of himself, he vowed to prevent this world's fate from repeating elsewhere. New Sun arrived on Earth 616 and found Gambit stranded in Antarctica by the X-Men. He helped Gambit escape and sent him on a mission to the Savage Land with Courier. Even after Gambit rejoined the X-Men, he continued to carry out tasks for New Sun. These included stealing a database of all mutants from Weir Island and obtaining mind-controlling gas from a Japanese mutant. New Sun also used Fontanelle to explore the dreams of people close to Gambit and linked to the Black Womb Project, the Earth 616 equivalent of Alpha 1, to gather information about his counterpart. He initially planned to relocate everyone on Earth to a new planet positioned exactly 180 degrees away in Earth's orbit. However, this plan was abandoned when Dr. Doom positioned the Heroes Reborn Earth in that same location. Shifting his focus, New Sun used Quiet Bill to explore the multiverse timelines, and sought one where Gambit either died before causing global destruction or survived. He also employed assassins to target Remy with the goal to push him to fully realize his expanded powers. To confuse Gambit, he even disguised himself as Executioner too. As far as his powers are concerned, New Sun had total control over kinetic energy at a molecular level. He could turn an object's potential energy into kinetic energy, making it explosive without needing to touch it. He could also use this power on living beings. He could lock someone in place or make them unable to stop moving. By manipulating kinetic energy, he could create or mimic different forms of energy, like heating things up with infrared or cooling them down by slowing down molecular movement. Additionally, New Sun could transform himself into an energy wave, allowing him to travel through space and into other dimensions. The Witness, Earth 1191. The Witness, aka Lebeau, is a unique entity in the Marvel Multiverse who exists across all timelines simultaneously, which gives him the ability to foresee all events. Rumors said he was an X-Man and possibly the last to see the X-Men alive. After his family was lost post-liberation of the camps, Bishop, separated from his sister Shard and his grandmother, survived on the streets until Lebeau took him in and taught him thievery skills. The Witness later headed a major tech corporation, Stark Fujikawa, which had a stake in the XSE, a group to which Bishop belonged. The company developed a holographic replica prototype intended to support or replace XSE operatives in combat. Shard, who worked on this project, had Bishop test the prototype, but it failed to adapt to new scenarios. It was determined that to fix the flaw, the brain of the replicating XSE agent needed to be processed, a risky procedure still in the experimental phase. Although Shard believed that sharing Shi'ar technology could solve the issue, the Witness, through his representative Lycadian, showed no willingness to share his secrets. Shard was eventually killed by the soul-stealing implates. Desperate to save his sister, Bishop approached the Witness to download her brainwaves into a holographic replica. The Witness, seemingly anticipating Bishop's request, agreed to help on the condition that Bishop leave the XSE and serve him for a year. Reluctantly, Bishop accepted. During that year, Bishop worked as a key agent for Stark Fujikawa, but he kept quiet about what he did there. Although Hecate, the head of XSE, tasked him with uncovering everything about Lebeau, Bishop found very little. At the year's end, Lebeau cryptically told him, "I am Lebeau, and more than Lebeau. I am in jail. I am a jail. One strange man, me." The Witness was last seen in New Orleans, though it was uncertain if he still had powers. He was killed by the Marauder Scalp Hunter for reasons not fully understood. It appears the Marauders targeted teleporters, telepaths, precogs, and anyone with knowledge of the future to secure their control over Hope Summers, the first mutant born after M-Day. The current whereabouts of the Witness are unknown, but he likely resurfaced in the Ascani timeline. This timeline had the Order of Witnesses, a group of mutants established in the late 21st century by a mutant seeking to atone for past sins. The Order mostly observed world events from afar, but have manipulated events in the past. Their goals remain secret. Ultimately, they were wiped out by Apocalypse's forces. Gambit, Earth 295, Age of Apocalypse. Gambit, once an X-Man and close to their leader Magneto, left the team heartbroken after Rogue fell for Magneto. I mean, this is now public knowledge, especially after what we saw in X-Men 97. Hey, are you following our Ending Explained and other hot videos on the new show? Do check it out. So anyway, he then created the Externals, a group of mutant thieves with a Robin Hood-esque thing going on. He basically helped humans and found comfort with Lila Cheney. Eventually, Magneto needed Gambit and his teleporting girlfriend Lila to steal a shard of the M'Kraan crystal from across the galaxy. The mission demanded a sacrifice, and Gambit gave up his love for Rogue to secure a piece of the crystal. The Externals successfully returned to Earth, but betrayal struck from within their ranks. Faced with a tough choice, Gambit chose to save Lila over securing the prize, showing his capacity to love anew. Lila's fate remains unknown, but after defeating Apocalypse, Gambit went back to the X-Men to aid in rebuilding. For a decade, Earth thrived until Apocalypse rose again. In the final confrontation, our mutant super thief sacrificed himself to allow Rogue and the other X-Men time to escape, dying as a hero. Marvelous verdict. Clearly, Gambit has been one of the most fascinating mutants to have ever served the X-Men. However, it's also a fact that he's remained rather underrated. That's mostly because he made just one live-action appearance in X-Men Origins Wolverine, where he was played by Taylor Kitsch. I really hope to see more of him in live-action movies so he gets the love he deserves. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.